Hi friends, welcome back to Teaching in Room 9, our region's largest classroom. My name is Julia and I'm one of the second grade teachers at the Soulard School. But here for Teaching in Room 9, all of my lessons focus on math for second graders. But everyone's always encouraged to join. Welcome back, friends. Thank you so much for taking time to be here together with me. I'm so happy that I have a chance to be here with you, and I can't wait to just jump right in and let's do some learning here together. All right, so we always start with our mindful minute activity. We like to practice these mindfulness exercises so that we are able to push out any of those other thoughts or feelings you might be having throughout your day. Take a moment to be present and aware of your five senses. Check in with your body and your mind. How are you thinking and feeling right now? And then that way you're able to recenter, and then I know you will be focused and ready to learn. All right, friends, so we are going to do something called Bumble Bee Breathing today. So go ahead and sit up nice and straight and tall. And I want you to push your shoulders back so that your airways are nice and open. Try to relax your muscles, let go of any tension you might be feeling. You're going to take a deep breath in through your nose, but then as you breathe out, you are going to keep your mouth closed so that you're able to hum or make that buzzing noise. All right, bumblebees, are you ready? Okay, let's go ahead. Breathe in through your nose. And out. Nice job. I could hear all those buzzing bumblebees. All right, we're going to go ahead and do it again one more time, okay? Breathe in through your nose. And breathe out. Nice job, bumblebees. That was amazing. I really like this mindfulness activity. I find it very relaxing. I like to close my eyes when I do it, so it really just helps me focus. And then that sound helps to sort of recenter my body, even though it does kind of tickle my nose a little bit. All right, friends, we're going to go ahead and jump into our learning goals for this week. Again, our learning goals or objectives are I can solve addition and subtraction problems within 1,000. So we've been working a lot with addition, subtraction, breaking apart numbers and putting them back together, understanding that relationship between addition and subtraction, and using that to help us to solve. And then it says I can understand numbers using number names, base 10 blocks, and expanded form. So we have been working on going through a different standard or a different strategy each day. So you can see in my chart here, it says addition without regrouping. And then it takes us through all four of these different strategies. So it started with base 10 blocks. That was the first strategy we used. So you can see the same addition equation is used for all four strategies. So in the center, it's written 52 plus 45. So the base 10 strategy, we took apart the numbers into tens and ones, and then we drew out a visual model of those base 10 blocks. So you have for 52, that's broken down into 5 tens and 2 ones. So you drew 5 base 10 tens rods for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then 1, 2. And then we did the same for 45. We broke it down into 4 tens or 40 and 5 ones. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and our 5 ones. And then we added them together. So we did 5 and 2 is 7. And then 50 and 40 is 90. So it gave us 97. Then we did the same idea as the base 10 blocks. We even drew out that visual model still, but we made sure we attached the expanded form writing along with it. So same thing, 50 and 2. So we broke it down into tens and ones. And we wrote the expanded form. 50 for our tens, 2 for our ones. And you always have to have that plus sign, right? Because then that shows you are adding 50 from the tens, 2 from the ones together to get that 52. And then when we're doing the expanded form, we did the same thing for 45. So 40 and 5, we write them on top of each other so that we can easily just see and add down. So 5 and 2 is 7. We just brought the plus sign down. 50 and 40 is 90. So 90 plus 7, that's that expanded form. So then we put it together for that, or retract it for that standard number of 97. Nice job, friends. All right, so today we are working with this number line strategy here. So we are so familiar with number lines, right, friends? We've been working so hard, and hopefully you're feeling really comfortable using our number lines. So this should be an easy strategy for you to use today. So again, 52 and 45. So we started at 52. Then we broke apart 45 into tens and ones. Okay, so you can see it even broken down here into 40 and 5. So we started at 52 and then jumped up 40. So it's 10, 20, 30, 40. So 52, 62, 72, 82, 92. And then you can see these individual little ones, those 5 ones there. So we're at 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97. So I am noticing a pattern here, friends. In the base 10 blocks, we broke apart our add-ins. Then in expanded form, we broke apart our add-ins again. And in the number line, we broke apart the add-in here as well. What is the pattern between all 3 of these? Yeah, we're breaking it down into tens and ones. All of our strategies use that same basic principle of breaking down a 2-digit number into those tens and ones. Nice job. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and work on the number line strategy today, and then we'll get to that standard model tomorrow. And then next week, we will focus on addition and subtraction with regrouping. And again, we use that relationship between the addition and the subtraction to solve, and we've been solving with fact families. All right, so today, friends, you are going to a farmer's market. Can I get a me too if you've ever been to a farmer's market before? You can also give me some yeses or some nos. Yeah, I'm seeing some me toos, but some nos too, and that's okay. I love going to the farmer's market. I love supporting local farmers and local small businesses. And if I travel, I always try to make it a point to, if they have a farmer's market, to visit just to see what local offerings they might be having. So you are going to a farmer's market and you are going to look for squash because it is a very seasonal vegetable. So you're going to be looking for different types of squash, both pumpkins and butternut squash. So, which are both types of squash. So when you went on your trip to the farmer's market, you noticed that there were 22 butternut squash. If you do not have something to write, please go and grab something to write, and you're going to write down the number 22. So go ahead and do that now. All right, hopefully my friends are back and you have something to write with. So you wrote down the number 22. This is for those butternut squash that you were able to see at the farmer's market. So again, we're using your number line to solve. So 22 is where we're going to start at on our number line. I'm going to go ahead and draw it out in base 10 blocks for you as well, just because that might help some of my more visual learners. So 22. We can break down 22 into tens and ones. So 22, how many tens? Let me hear it, friends. Yes, 2 tens. 2 tens is worth, let's count it, 10, 20. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw 2 tens rods, the straight down lines for our 22. And I'm gonna do it up here so it's out of our way. So those are our 2 tens, and then how many ones in 22? Let me see it on your fingers, friends. Ready? Hold it up, 3, 2, 1. 2, nice job. So I'm now drawing my 2 little dots for my ones. So 22, I've got a visual model up here, and then 22 is where I'm gonna start at on my number line. Then I'm going to add on the amount of pumpkins that you saw at the farmer's market. And it's a lot of pumpkins, right? We're gonna see a lot of pumpkins this time of year. You saw 63 pumpkins at the farmer's market. Wow. Go ahead and write down 22 plus 63. Okay, so 63, that's gonna be the number of jumps that we make, and then where we land on our number line, that is our sum or our total. All right, so 63, I gotta break it down, right? Into, let me see you do it, tens and ones. Nice job. So 63 is broken down into tens and ones. How many tens, friends? Good job. 6 tens is 60. So I'm gonna write it out there so you can see it nice and easy. I'm also gonna draw 6 tens rods. These tens rods here, right? And we have to do 6 for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I think we're gonna have to do a lot of jumps here, friends. All right. So I got those tens covered. Now I got to get those ones covered. How many ones in 63? Let me hear it. Yes. Amazing, friends. You are getting so good at this. There are 3 ones in 63. So now I'm going to draw 3 dots. 1, 2, and 3. So you can see 22 and 63. Here's our visual model for our base 10 blocks. We broke down 63. So now I know I'm going to make 60 jumps. And we'll jump in intervals of 10 to make it nice and easy so we don't make a mistake. And then we'll jump those last 3 ones. All right, friends, you ready to do your jumps? All right, so you guys are gonna be making these jumps on your number lines at home. So we're gonna start at 22, we'll jump up 10. To 32, then another 10 to 42. Another 10 to 52. Okay, let's check in, friends. I started at 22, then I jumped up 10, 20, 30. We went 22, 32, 42, 52. So I've made 30 jumps so far. Let's go ahead and get rid of 10, 20, and 30. Okay, so now I've still got 3 more jumps of 10, right? We were only halfway there to that 60. So we're at 52, up another 10, 62, another 10, 72. So now we've done 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So we need 1 more. Okay, 1 more 10 from 72 to 82. Nice job. We now officially jumped all of those 6 tens rods, the 60 jumps. So let's get rid of that 60. And you can see here we jumped 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, going from 22 all the way up to 82. Now we got to get those 3 ones. Okay, so we're at 82, jump up 3 more. 82, 83, 84, 85. So we landed at 85 on our number line. So we did these 3 ones. Nice job, friends. Okay, so we did our 63 and 22. So we started at 22, we added on 63, and it gave us a total of, so we've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 1, 2, 3, 85. 6 and 2 is 80, 2 and 3 is 5. And we were able to break it down into jumps of 10 on our number line and then do those ones afterwards. Okay, friends, are you ready? We have to do our other addition fact. So we had a total of 22 butternut squash, 63 pumpkins, gave us 85 squash that we saw at the farmer's market. So now we got to switcheroony our add-ins, right? So now we're going to start at 63 this time. So I'm going to erase, you get a nice clean spot on your paper to work. We're going to start this time with how many pumpkins did we see at the farmer's market? We saw 63 pumpkins. Go ahead and write it down, friends. And get your number line ready to go. Okay, I know I'm gonna start at, that first number is always where we start at, 63. Okay, so those are the pumpkins. Now we gotta add on the butternut squash. There were 22 butternut squash. I'm gonna go ahead and draw out our base 10s for both of these. So 63, how many 10s in 63? If you said 6 10s, you got it. Because we have a total of 60. Are you ready? I'm gonna draw my 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And then how many ones? Let me see it on your fingers. Ready? Hold it up. Yes, 3 ones. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so 63 is where I start at on my number line. We broke it down into 10s and 1s with our base 10 blocks, so you have a visual model. Now we're gonna add on 22. So I know, if I know anything about anything, we're gonna break it down into 10s and 1s. Nice job, 22. Can be broken down into how many 10s? Yep, let's hold up on our fingers, ready? 2 10s, right friends? So I'm gonna draw 2 10s rods, and that's worth 10, 20. So I'm gonna write 20 over here so we can see it really nice and easy. Then how many 1s are we gonna have in 22? 22 is again the number of jumps we're gonna make on our number line. Let me see it on your fingers. Ready, friends? 3, 2, 1. 2 1s. 22 is broken down into 2 10s for 20 and 2 1s. So here's my 2 1s. I'm gonna write it here as well. All right, so we're gonna first do our jumps of 10. So we'll do these 20 first and then the 2. Are you ready to make our jumps in our number line? All right, let's do it. 63, jump up 10. 63, 10 more is 73. Nice job. Now we've gotten this 1 10 done. Let's do another 10. So 63, we went up to 73. 10 more is 83. Nice job. So we did our 20, right? We did 10, 20. We went from 63, 73, 83. Now what do I need to do, friends? I'm hearing some friends say, the 1s. We've got to do these 2 1s. So 83, we're going to make little rivets. Ready? Rivet. 84 and rivet. 85. So we started at 63, we did our 10s, and then we did our 1s, so I can erase this 2 now here. 63, 73, 83, that was our 20, and then 1, 2, 83, 84, 85. So that was our answer here. We had 63 pumpkins plus 22 squash gives us a total of 85 squash all together. You can see here, 6 10s plus 2 more, 6. And 2 is 8, so 80 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 85. Nice job. Now it's time for us to do our subtraction equations. So we are going to start at the other end of our number line and go down or backwards instead of forwards because we are subtracting. Let's get a nice clean spot in your notebook. We're going to start with our total number of squash that you saw at the farmer's market. So our total again is 85. So go ahead and write down 85 and get your number line ready to roll. Okay, so I'm starting at 85. Our first number is the number we're going to start at on our number line. Then now we are subtracting this time. Okay, so this time we're going to take away the butternut squash, which again was 22. Okay, so that's how many jumps back we're gonna do. Before we make our jumps, let's go ahead and do our visual model for 85. How many 10s are in 85? Yes, if you said 8 10s, you're absolutely right. So I'm gonna make my straight line down 10s rods, and we're gonna count up to 80 all together. Ready, friends? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. All done, right? No, not quite. Oh, you're right. I do. I have to do the ones too. And how many ones in 85? Let me hear it. Yep, 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is our total number of squash we saw, the butternut squash and the pumpkins together. Then we are taking away 22. So let's break down 22 again into tens and ones, right? We always break it down into tens and ones. So 22, how many tens? Let me see it on those fingers, friends. Ready? Hold it up. 3, 2, 1. 2. Nice job. 2 tens is 10, 20. And then how many ones, friends? Let me just hear you say it. Ready? Up, yep, 2 ones. Nice job. 22, we broke it down into 20 and 2. Our tens and our ones. And then now we're gonna do our jumps back. And since I am taking away, I did not draw out 22. I'm going to take it away from our total number of squash. So then we can get the difference will be the numbers of pumpkins that we saw, not the butternut squash. So we're gonna make those 20 first. And again, we break down our tens into intervals of 10. So 85, jump back 10, ready? 85 minus 10 is 75. So now I did 1, then 1 more 10, zoop, would be 65. So we started at 85, we bent back 10, 75, back 10, 65. So I did that other one there. And we did our 20, so I can erase this here, right? So you can see here, 10, 20. Okay, so now I gotta do those ones, right, friends? So 65, I gotta go back 2 ones. 64, 63. Okay, so that gave us our answer. All right, so let's see. Does your number line look like my number line here? I hope that it does. So we did our ones. So now I can erase my 2 ones here. Now let's see how many base 10 blocks do I have. Let's count the tens rods. Will you count with me? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 1, 62, 63. So 85 squash altogether at the farmer's market minus 22 butternut squash gave us 63 pumpkins. Nice job, friends. You are doing so amazing with this. All right, one more equation in our fact family. So again, we are going to start at 85. I'm gonna erase. Find a clean spot in your notebook or on your paper to work. Okay, so we're gonna start with 85 again, that total number. So I need to make sure I have the right number of base 10 blocks. So we need to have 8 tens and 5 ones. You're absolutely right. So I need to have, will you count with me again, friends? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So we need to do 70, 80. So now I've got our tens rods, our 8 tens, which gave us a total of 80. And then I need to have how many ones? Yes, 5 ones. So count with me, friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. So now we have our visual model with our base 10 blocks. Got our number 85 written here. Again, that's our total number of squash. Let's get ready for our number line, okay? All right, so now this time we are going to take away the number of pumpkins, and that difference will be that butternut squash. So this time we are taking away 63. Okay, so we're gonna start at 85. So I got 85 written here on our number line. Okay, you should have these on your paper as well. First thing, what do I gotta do, friends? Yes, go ahead and do it with me, friends. We break apart the 10s and the 1s. Nice job. So 63, that's the number of jumps we're gonna go back to get to our difference. We're gonna break 63 into 10s and 1s. How many 10s in 63, friends? Yes, nice job. 6 10s in 63, which is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Nice job. Write 60 here. Then how many 1s in 63? Let me see it on your fingers, friends. Hold it up in 3, 2, 1. 3 1s. You are so good at this, friends. So we broke down 63. This is the number we are taking away. And we broke it into 10s and 1s. So we did not need to draw it out because, again, this is our total number of squash, so we're going to take away. So we'll erase this time. So we got a lot of jumps to do, right, friends? You ready to do some jumps here together? All right, so our first jump of 10 from 85 to 75. Another jump of 10 from 85, 75, 65 again, 55. Okay, let's check in, friends. We started at 85. We jump back 10 to 75, again to 65, and again to 55. So we have jumped 10, 20, 30. So let's take away 10, 20, 30. But I need to jump 60. We're only halfway there. Okay, so let's keep going. 55, 45, 35. One more. 25. All right, so we now jumped back 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Nice job. So we want to erase these last 3 that we did. The 10, 20, 30. Okay, we've now done all 6 10s or 60 all together. So now we got to do those 1s. Ready? So we're at 25. We got to go back 3, 25, 24, 23, 22. So we did those 3 1s. So get rid of the 1s. All right, so 85 squashed all together at the farmer's market. Take away those 63 pumpkins, and we had a difference of our 22 butternut squash. We broke apart 63 into 10s and 1s. We made our jumps of 10 first, then our 1s. We also drew a visual model of their base 10 blocks and erased as we went. You guys did so amazing. Thank you, thank you. I'll see you next time, friends. Bye.
Teaching in Room 9 is made possible with support of Bank of America, Dana Brown Charitable Trust, Emerson, and viewers like you.